Normal people become terrified of criminals.
Shots were just fired. Police just came out and told us, and we're headed there right now.
They become terrified of their own government.
Well, let's jump to this story here. This is the bigger news that we were going to get into initially, but we pushed it back. Here we go. From DC Drano. He says, and there it is. Senator Dick Durbin is finally revealing their grand plan. Flood the country with illegal aliens, enlist them in the military, and make them citizens. The part he isn't disclosing is who the Marxists will use the alien soldiers against. Ah, yes, interesting. The funny thing is that we've talked about this, and I've speculated this would be the case. We have massive shortfalls in our military, and we have a massive illegal immigration population coming across the border. I said, how long until they send all these guys to Ukraine? No joke. Now, here's my question to all the Republicans who are upset about illegal immigration. You got Texas saying we're going to send them to Martha's Vineyard or whatever, or Florida and Texas. Okay. What if we send them all to Ukraine? New rule, new law. United States. If you enter this country illegally, we won't deport you. We will send you to Ukraine. I'm not saying make them fight. I am not saying force them to join any kind of government action. I am not saying we're involved in any war. I am saying quite literally, the deportation process is not a return to your home country. All non-citizens who are here illegally and facing deportation sent to Ukraine. Of course, then the Ukrainian government will take them, hand them a weapon, and say to the front lines with ye. Mm-hmm. But that's.
But I'm fine if they're in the Ukrainian military. I don't want them to join our military, right?
Here,
if you're in the middle of committing the crime of illegally entering my country, I don't think you have my country's best interest at heart. Yep. I don't necessarily want you to be in my military and then be, have access to the GI Bill or whatever else. That doesn't make sense to me.
Let me play this clip. You can hear it for yourselves.
What troubles me about the debate now about the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there's also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country,
you're an illegal immigrant.
Invader.
And you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that?
No.
Do you know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country.
Sedition.
Should we give them the chance?
No.
I think we should.
This is sedition.
You're incorrect, Dick.
They have created policies that are destroying the U.S. armed forces, and now they are advocating to have non-citizens serve in our armed forces. The armed forces will be replaced from citizens to non-citizens, and then when the order is given to fire an American citizen, they're going to say, I don't care.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And he's saying we're having trouble recruiting people. So instead of trying to address that issue, we're just going to bring in people who are here illegally and give them a path to citizenship.
Right.
This doesn't make sense.
Let's fix why we're having trouble. Why did you fire all the unvaccinated? Why are you pushing woke crap and DEI down these troops' throats? They hate it. They don't want it. They're not willing to die for a country that, hates them and hates their founding. And I think what they're doing is, they are trying to bring people here who have no allegiance to America's founding, because when the time comes, they'll be willing to turn the guns on all of us, right? Because they have no allegiance to us, no respect for our laws. As you said, they're coming here illegally already. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it seems like I don't understand how any humanitarian would be like, great idea, Dick Durbin. I love this, because now you're holding citizenship over someone's head, being said, go fight in a war, potentially die to get citizenship. The thing about being an American citizen and enlisting in the military is that you already have that, right? So you're of service to your own country. It seems like a crazy prospect on both sides to say that anyone would benefit from this at all. It seems like blackmail on one hand. I know you're here illegally. You have now registered with the government. To be fair, the Biden administration doesn't deport anyone. They're useless. But theoretically, I know you're here illegally, so continue to fight until I say you can stay here. Or we could just maybe enforce border laws and then go back to our native population and say, why don't you want to enlist in the military? What changed in our culture that drove military recruitment down? What's going on in the military, like you've alluded to, all sorts of like woke ads, the vaccination regulations, as well as just generally like what are the physical fitness standards? What are the benefits? What are we doing that's not working? Rather than bring in a class of illegal people, why don't we just go to people who are already here, our citizens, and ask them what would make you want to be in the military?
Well, and then these people who come here illegally are still a burden on the taxpayer, right? We're still paying for them to be here, paying for all of the benefits that they get as members of the military and will get when they leave the military. So, you're not in any way taking this problem away from the American taxpayer. You might even be making it worse, one could argue.
It doesn't make any sense.
We
to
could
me.
give less benefits to foreigners that join the military, but give them citizenship as their benefit.
But isn't that like a form of discrimination? You're saying you're doing the same job, but you get fewer benefits? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Also,
it would be a form of
shouldn't
discrimination.
you want to fight for your own country? I mean, shouldn't you be a citizen to enlist in the military? How do we know where your loyalties are if you're not a citizen of the country you're serving?
Absolutely. I think these people, in particular, recent, people that are crossing over the southern border have shown they have no interest in assimilating, right? They're waving their foreign flags. They're not adhering to our values. People used to come to the U.S. and literally change their last name so they could pass as American. That's how badly they wanted to assume our identity and adhere to our culture. And these people aren't doing that at all. They're shoving it in our faces. So to think that they would want to fight under the banner of the American flag, honestly and believe in it, I think that's just stupid.
I think about the Hessians, having foreign nationals fight for your country. It's not super uncommon. The British hired the German Hessians to fight during the American Revolution and against the colonists, and also but you see the Roman Empire started to hire and bring in foreigners to fight a late stage empire when they didn't.
Like
want
I
to fight
said, if
anymore.
Ukraine wants to hire America's illegal immigrants to go fight for their war, that's fine. But I don't think that as the country, the U.S. should say, as a path to citizenship, we should encourage illegal immigration. It's the same reason that you make with ending birthright citizenship, right? If you say, if you have a child in this country, you get to stay, then people are like, what can I do to have a child in that country? And if I were to say, if you enlist in our military, you get to stay, I'm undermining the actual problem, which is that people should not be illegally entering into our country and then being expected to find a way to assimilate and benefit, especially because they didn't respect the country in the first place to get there.
Yeah, and I'm just really tired of politicians trying to fix, symptoms of the problem and not actually get to the root of it. We have the capacity to totally stop the illegal immigration at our southern border. We just don't have politicians who are willing to do that.
All right, well, how about this one? From Florida's Voice. This is not normal. DeSantis warns of invasion as group of Chinese nationals crosses the border. So how many of the people that they're going to put in our military or non-citizens are going to be, I don't know, Iranian or...
You mean fighting age men from other countries that don't have our best interests at heart?
And particularly
probably a
those
lot.
from China.
Or they get officer status, then they have access to sensitive data.
Yo, people, you want to talk about... This is a funny thing when I talk about civil war, and they're like, it'll never happen. I love this one. When I would ask people this 20 years ago, if a U.S. military man was ordered to fire on an American citizen, would they do it? And the immediate reaction from everyone is, no, they would not. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Of course they would. For the same reason why police shoot guys in their pickup trucks when they're on a high-speed chase. The assumption with the question is that there's just like a random guy walking on the street. There's always some kind of reason. And if it comes down to there's a mass protest and someone is ordered by any means necessary, stop this guy, he's a fugitive, he's dangerous. Do you think and I'm not trying to single out a military personnel, I'm saying anyone in law enforcement, they're not going to operate under the assumption that the person they're going after is a sane, rational individual. They're being told by their superiors, these are the actions you take. This person is considered armed and dangerous. So, okay. So you've got a National Guard out and they brief them and say, there's going to be riots and there's going to be live ammo and fully automatic rifles. Do not blah, blah, blah. And then if something was happening and someone was firebombing something and they said, that guy, stop him now, open fire. There's not a situation where they're going to be like, well, hold on there, commanding officer. I understand there's something happening in front of me, but I'm going to go ahead and not do that. There are certain circumstances where, imagine it's a regular guy walking on the street carrying a newspaper. Someone might be like, I don't know what's going on. But even then, you have the issue of, the example I like to use is the Bosphorus Bridge coup attempt in Turkey. These guys are being told something. right? You're going out, you're working in security. They don't think like the commanding officer isn't saying, "Yeah, I'm a villain and I want to kill a random person. I order you to do it," because then they're going to say no. There's typically some kind of reason. But even outside of that, look where we are now. People have I've talked about civil war and they say, "Oh, the military is not going to fight the American people." Blah blah blah. This military will. A bunch of Chinese and Honduran nationals who are in the U.S. Army and the National Guard who are deployed to quell a riot from a bunch of American-born people in Staten Island. You got the people in Staten Island protesting that they're busing in non-citizens and giving them giving the tax money from the citizens to the non-citizens. The citizens protest. These guys show up in the National Guard. They're ordered to open fire. They're not going to think twice.
Yeah, because they have no respect for our founding ideology. Like when you hear, CIA or FBI or DOJ whistleblowers talk, what they always say is, I felt that this went against our founding belief system. It was against the Constitution. I felt I couldn't, do this raid on my fellow man who did no wrong. These people don't have that kind of ideology or approach to anything at all. They're already coming here. They're breaking laws. They're going to shoot the Staten Island protester, no doubt.
The assumption is an American citizen, American as apple pie, is told to open fire on an American citizen who is also as American as apple pie and is like, whoa, I can't do that. That's my neighbor and my brother and he's flying the American flag. Dude, you will get some Proud Boy type dude with an American flag or a Trump supporter waving a flag and screaming in protest. And there will be a guy from Honduras or from Ecuador or even from Africa, because we've had illegal immigrants. They fly from Africa into Brazil and then travel all up the southern border. Mm-hmm. They're going to be given positions in not just the military. Take a look at this one from WTTW. New Illinois law that allows certain non-citizens to join law enforcement becomes a flashpoint. That's right. There's going to be a cop who shows up and he's going to say, "I don't know you. I don't care about you. My life was bad. I have been given an opportunity. Anything they tell me to do, I will do." Mm-hmm. And you had that story where there was a Somali migrant who killed that woman in her car for no reason. You remember that one? It was Minnesota or whatever. Mm-hmm. For no reason, he just kills this woman. Unlike it was like a park. What was it, like a speeding ticket or something? Can't remember the story. So. This woman did like nothing, like her headlights out, and he's like, okay, and he shoots her and kills her. What do you think's going to happen when you have non-citizens in your military?
It's the inmates running the asylum.
Yeah, I go back to this.
I think it's more like the Legion of Doom.
To this business plot. I mean, this is just insane business plot. You got to just educate yourself on the business plot. Smedley Butler, American retired general, World War I general. They wanted him to lead a fascist overthrow, and he said no. If he had said yes, we'd be living under a tyrant right now. We probably would have joined the Nazis.
I just got to stop you. I don't believe any of that.
If this guy didn't have
under tyranny. We are dealing with them putting non-citizens in law enforcement. They're giving non-citizens the right to vote. The Biden administration actually had Border Patrol cut the barrier and shut the barriers down. So this idea that there was some coup 100 years ago is meaningless when right now we are living under tyrants.
Yeah, that was the attempt at legitimizing their coup, was that business plot. But if Smedley Butler didn't have American ideals, is the point I'm bringing it up. If he had been a foreign national that had rose to the rank of general because of service, and then they'd ask him to go become the dictator, if he's from Somalia, I'm not saying Somalia is a bad place, but somewhere where dictatorships were norm, you could see
and for all you know, this guy, the actual plot was, we want you to go to Congress and claim there's a plot to legitimize the removal of the gold standard and strengthen the Federal Reserve. And he smirked and said, yes. These ideas that we just believe these narratives and trust all of it is meaningless to me.
Smedley Butler was like the most decorated general on earth at the time.
So what? It's 100 years ago, and it's irrelevant to the point that right now, regardless of what happened, we're looking at Dick Durbin out of Illinois saying non-citizens in the military.
Yes.
And we're looking at Illinois, same place, where they're saying non-citizen in law enforcement.
If Smedley Butler had been a non-citizen in that situation, and they go to a non-citizen, they're like, hey, overthrow. A non-citizen is way more likely.
I think the thing is, America isn't just, we live here and so therefore we are American. American is a cultural and philosophical belief. There is more behind it than just, I happen to have residence or happen to have stumbled into this area and live there, right? And that's why it works, why there is common value. It's why you can have multiple states that also share commonality. We don't work like separate countries entirely. What I find to be challenging is that Dick Durbin is saying, well, we have these people here, and so we should just let them be citizens if they trade in some way. It's undermining what really we need to address, which is our cultural issues, which is why people don't want to enlist in the military. I think that just saying we should replace the populations that's here because they aren't doing the job that we want is not the answer. It just will ultimately create some long-term problems.
And I will clarify too for the super chatter, Dante Scarlett saying it's illegal immigrants we're concerned about. It's not as much non-citizens, but it is still, in my opinion, partly non-citizens. It is true that there are people who are not citizens who join the military, and we have had programs where you're not a citizen, join the military, you can become a citizen. The difference between illegal immigrant and that is very clear. However, regardless, I would not be very happy with a mass mobilization of non-citizens in any capacity, be it illegal immigrant or permanent resident.
And the thing is, Dick Durbin says we need more legal immigration too, which I just fundamentally disagree with because it's the same argument, right? People here aren't doing the thing we want, so let's bring in someone else rather than go to our native population and say, how can we get you into these roles that we need filled? What can we do to rally as a country and solve our own problems? I think this is what's upsetting about the immigration debate, which is that there are both of my parents are immigrants. They came to America, they chose to be here. That was good, right? I was raised as an American. I have cultural ties elsewhere, but this is not the same thing when you come illegally. When you come illegally because you see some social benefit, but you don't actually want to be a part of the country, it's very different. The first thing you could do would be to show respect to the country and abide by their laws, including their immigration laws, which are frustrating, and I understand that, but illegal immigrants are not going through the same process that legal immigrants are going through.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.